We can all, grow and evolve together. That's the mission. Follow my socials, and if you feel the vibe, join Tea for the ride. Hello guys, I really hope you are well. You're here today with your girl, it's Teè and you are here today for Teè Talks. Now guys, first of all, I just want to say sorry for not being active. I just wasn't active at all due to unforeseen circumstances and situations in regards to university, situations in regards to my channel and also my social media. I've just had non-stop problems, but as we know, Tea always comes back and with a bang. So do not worry, I've got you. So today guys, I'll be taking you through one of my modules that I'm focused upon and is intertwined within my course at uni. You'll be able to delve in with Tea. You'll learn a lot more about me and myself and how I'm working upon my development through my growth, through creative self. Because a lot of you have been asking me about my journey within uni and what I do, not really knowing about my course or why it is that I'm doing what I'm doing. And you'll find out today. But before anything guys, I'd love for you to ensure to like, comment, share, and if you enjoy this video, please ensure to hit the subscribe button with my face on it, as you can see. Join me, join Tea, join for the ride, and join Tea Team, because that's the dream. Let's get going. And welcome to my creative self journal, of which I've decided to vlog. I feel as though this is my way of communicating and expressing myself, and I feel as though it's the best to do it verbally, especially in regards to the fact that this initial lecture was in regards to drama and really utilising the body, and there's many aspects to it of which can't just be explained through writing. I feel like I have to actually speak verbally. So my first lecture was on Thursday the 1st of October, of which was a drama lecture, which I've already reiterated. And initially I went into the class quite nervous, quite anxious, not really knowing what it would entail. And I happened to get there early, as well as the other people that attended too. And we sat there, and I felt as though there was negative, that we were sitting there, and although positive, it was negative aspects as well, or aspects that could have been improved on. For example, the communication between myself and the lecturer, because I felt as though we were there early and the lecturer did take quite a bit of time, and I feel as though that did build up the anxiousness and the nervousness within myself, because I just wanted to get into it and actually participate, especially being in a room with people that I wasn't used to and I'd only met virtually and not physically yet. However, it was a beneficial factor for me, because at the same time I then did decide to indicate that we should get to know each other, for which we then decided to participate within a name game. And this was where we would go around the circle and we'd state our names or our preferred names. And I then said that it would be beneficial for us, as it would be a way to break the ice and to then create and take away from the anonymous aspect of it, because of the fact I wouldn't know them, being afraid of the unknown, and then being able to then have a title for the people and be able to then distinguish some sort of disclosure and some comfort, as you're able to then establish that connection, which I never had before prior. And then following on from there, I was then told to participate within a workshop when my lecturer joined in, and we were told to once again reiterate our names, which this was beneficial again because more people did join into the class, and I thought it was important that we all did get turns to actually introduce ourselves, and just so that no one felt left out or victimised or they felt less relevant. It's very important, I feel, to make sure everybody's comfortable and everybody feels safe within the space. So then after that we had to then disclose how we felt and express it through words and tell each other verbally exactly how we felt. I'd then express that it was nerve-wracking, but at the same time I was ready to grow and evolve, and which is what I feel I have done, and I feel that exercise and the drama workshop has helped me to do. Following on from this, we then went on to the next exercise, of which I then participated in kind of externalizing my emotions physically through actions and gestures, as well as then verbally through a noise, of which I could relate to the action and relate to my emotions. And for this I decided to make a sort of whistling noise, a kind of breathing, a sigh of relief kind of noise, in order to relate to my feelings of being sure to breathe and to take time and to be patient with growth and with getting to know others and getting to know the space and allowing space to fill the air and to actually allow time to grow. Everything takes time, and with that you have to breathe. You have to breathe in, exhale. It's okay to breathe, and that's something that people forget all the time. They forget to take a break. So I thought that's really important, especially in the process, as I say, of growth and of channeling that. From there, I then had to then reflect upon that, and as a group I noticed that a lot of individuals did state that they felt as though growth was very important, and that within practicing these skills and practicing these different techniques and obviously participating within the workshop, that it was something that challenged you and took you out of the comfort zone. But it's amazing that it took us out of the comfort zone because of the fact that within that you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, otherwise there is no ability to grow. You won't be able to learn from anything, you won't be able to take anything on in order to utilise. So I thought that was very, very important. I was then told to further participate within another workshop, of which we then stood up, and I was indicated to walk around the room and to fill the space, but also to still be mindful of the fact that, of course, there's a pandemic going on and there's a certain protocol that we have to stick to. So filling the space, but still taking precautions and making sure there is room, of which within that keeping distance. Initially I was told to keep my head down, and then slowly as I'm gradually walking around, lift my head up and make eye contact. And anytime I made eye contact with another individual, I was then indicated to make an outlandish noise, and this was to help, of course, again eradicate any nervousness or any tension, any sort of emotions that could have caused a boundary and caused some sort of conflict or just tenseness within the atmosphere. That was eradicated because of the fact that I felt as though through making these noises and through all of these different expressions, being so vulgar and so extravagant, it then kind of had a playful element to it, of which took away from the seriousness, but at the same time that seriousness was still implemented because I was so invested in ensuring that it was conveying my emotions, and I still related back to the exercise. And I feel as though that was something that really helped, again, establish a connection and helped me to see how I do limit myself initially, like if I felt as though I wasn't comfortable or I was in another space, but there I felt as though I was in a safety net and I could do anything. And that was because of the fact that it's the common interest that usually makes people feel more comfortable. And I think because of the fact that everybody was doing the same sort of thing, everybody felt more relaxed, and I certainly did myself, and more open. Following from there, it then led on to another sort of gesture, of which was to wink at the person. Now I personally, I'm not very good at winking, I can't really wink, and so that was very interesting to challenge myself, but it was all part of, again, the process. There's certain things that I may lack or I may notice I need to improve on, and of course these are the sorts of things that I can then focus on and reflect upon and see how I can resolve this for the further practice. But through this, I thought again, it was nice to see how different people communicate through different sounds, through different expressions, and I felt as though it really reflects the personality of a person. And I had reflected my personality as naturally I am quite extroverted, but I felt as though I was challenged in that way to then express it even more, and just to see how I would react given the resources that I was given. And then from there, it was time for us to then reflect upon the exercise, of which I felt as though it was very, very rewarding in a sense that tenseness and nervousness and the overload of excitement had now filled in. And from there, it was like I felt as though there was an adrenaline within the room. There was many different sorts of emotions manifesting, but it was amazing to see how much more relaxed I was, less tense, less on edge and nervous, and it was more a sense of I felt relief, felt relaxed and ready to then progress from there. Of which from there, it was then the fourth exercise, I believe, and this was then transitioned to an artistic and more paper-based, of which I then was able to utilise the resources of actual physical objects, whereas before it was just the body, and utilising that to convey my emotions and my expressions. However, with the paper, I was then indicated to utilise the sound that I heard within my head and embed that within my drawings, of which I was told to go around the room and to mark on each bit of paper which had been stuck around the room a significant symbolic shape or mark, of which would reflect how I felt and the sound that came with it, and that was conveyed as well. So I felt that was quite challenging for me, like the aspects of that. I felt I was quite challenged in the way that I had to go around, and I felt I overthinked quite a bit, of which that is something I need to improve on, and that's what I've reflected upon, because I felt as though it was hard for me to think, okay, what sort of mark do I need to do, and how exactly am I feeling now? And through the overthinking and not allowing myself to breathe, I then initially thought, okay, you know what, I do need to breathe, and with that then it became a lot more easier for me to then be able to focus upon what I was doing and not really think about it too much, but just let whatever came out, for which on each piece of paper I was then able to make my mark, of which I noticed most of the marks were very individual, and they did differentiate from each other in extraordinary ways, but at the same time they still had that common element within them due to the colours, as which I utilised mainly yellow and blue. And I feel as though blue for me does sort of convey emotion. Blue has connotations of water, sadness, just expression in general, and rain, and I just feel as though that really is a colour that's very significant to myself, because as a Pisces I am quite emotive and of course expressive, which is why that was utilised. And then yellow for growth, for happiness, and many other connotations, joy and fulfillment, of which I thought was very, very vital to use upon each of the papers, whether it was different sorts of marks or not. It was all significant to myself, and it reflected me and my personality, as well as the sound. And I think the sound for me was the sound of growth, spurting like pop, 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 pop. It was very harmonious, and I felt as though I was able to capture that through each different paper. However, of course, the side of which I would then reflect upon and ensure that if I were to participate again is not to overthink too much and not to feel as though it has to be perfect, because I think that was something I also battled with, was trying to come to terms with the fact that it's just expressing myself, there's no judgment, and that's another thing that there should never be, and that should be eradicated, that there's no barrier, there's no judgment, there's no disheartenment there, because at the end of the day it's not meant to be perfect, and nothing is perfect. So it's just literally expressing how you feel, and that's the most beautiful thing, rather than it being perfect, because there's always something that can be improved. Following from that, I was then told to sit down, move back, and then reflect upon how I felt when making those markings upon the paper, of which, as I said, I felt as though I did contradict myself quite a lot, trying to decide what marks to make and how it would work and why I was making those marks and all of these different things, of which I've now realised, of course, it's through my personality and my emotions and my reflections upon certain things, of which was then expressed upon that paper. I then had to go ahead and pick a piece of paper from off of the wall that I felt I was the most drawn to, as everybody else had made their markings. We went round and ensured to social distance and make the markings upon the paper. And of course, I then sat down and decided to take the piece of paper, and I was then instructed to take that piece of paper and add my own markings again upon that one piece of paper, with other people's of course expressions upon there too. Now initially I did feel quite rude and intrusive when I was told to take the paper and to doodle on it, because of the fact that other people's markings would have been significant to themselves, and I would have felt as though they would have lost their relevance if I had tampered with them. It would have lost the significance to them, and so I just felt a bit on edge. However, then I did notice that other individuals were comfortable doing that, because of the fact that, of course, we're utilising everybody's techniques, everybody's methods, and putting them into one and submerging it. So in that sense, I then felt a bit more comfortable, but I did decide to just fill the gaps in around the space of those drawings, rather than to draw over them, which I think reflects me as a person. I'm quite a worrier, and I do like to really take into account other people's emotions, other people's feelings, so I'll leave space, and that is why predominantly there is a lot of space within the picture, of which I actually have it right here. So as you can see, this is the picture right here. I don't know if you can see it properly, but I will probably include a little picture on the screen anyway, so you can see it properly. But this is the picture, and I was quite, as I say, quite reluctant to mark upon people's drawings, because I just didn't want them to lose the essence that they had. But there are many different colours upon here, and what really drew me to this was the fact that there were so many. I love all of the squiggles of which are upon the page, the swirls of which I think really evoke and relate to me in a way that it's kind of expressing the whirlwind of emotions, the whirlwind of expressions, the whirlwind of feelings and thoughts within the session, and how it changes and morphs in different ways. And of course I decided to utilise my colours of blue and yellow, incorporate that within a flower, because of course for me that stimulates growth, and that was the sound that I heard. So that was my symbol right there, and then as you can see the flower again at the bottom, and as well as music notes of which I've embedded within it as well, but I've made them quite minimalistic, as well as creating that kind of difference and little touch of mine upon there. And I feel as though this was because it reflects me as a musician and how I hear sounds, and because I heard a sound I could hear different notes in my head, different chords, and that would reflect a major chord, which is a happy chord because I did feel happy, but then as well as minor because it's like I'm quite indecisive and not really sure how I feel. And yeah, so this was the piece of art of which I decided to take and make my own. And then of course from there I then liaised with a individual from the group, of which within that I was then asked to reflect upon how I felt when taking the piece and utilising it and drawing upon it. and I noticed that with my particular partner, it was that we both had contrasting but similar views upon the fact that it was a sense of everybody's different emotions, everybody's personalities being reflected, the colours. Some drawings may be smaller because of the fact that it could reflect that they're quite timid, quite shy, and others being bigger, bolder, of which for myself, the flowers and things like that, that was me simulating the fact that I'm coming out of my shell, and the colours would then further consolidate that idea of growth and of the spurting of energy and confidence and many other attributes that attain to that, as well as the fact that, as well, like I said, there were differences where I felt as though I was tampering with people's ideas, whereas the opposing individual would state that it was a case of course, trying to incorporate everybody and trying to make everybody whole, have a unity, which I think is very important, and I thought was, of course, established initially through the workshop, but I thought again through the aspect of art and drawing and letting that flow through your hands, I think it is very important that it was utilised in that way, and I could really push myself and challenge myself to see how I would react, and it shows through the many different aspects. Finally, following from there, I was then told from myself and my significant other within the practice to then liaise with 2 other individuals, of which we decided to do, and take all of our individual pieces of the art, of which we embedded our own marks upon, to then utilise the medium of music. So we had drama, art, and then music. And for this, I was told to participate in an activity where I would go up one by one and go and retrieve an instrument that I felt reflected my sound personally, and then utilise that to convey a story and kind of use that as a stimulus, the pictures as a stimulus to create some sort of soundscape, of which I thought was very useful, and it did again challenge me. However, I did feel more comfortable with this because of the fact that I am naturally musical and I love to embed my art within music, so I thought that was beneficial, and I did empathise with it because of the fact that it does relate to me. And then for this I decided to get the rain shaker because of water, as I said before, water flowing, free will, as well as the fact of the way in which it trickles, the little light delicate sound and the birthing of something. I thought that really fed in well, and I also had many different instruments intertwined within that, of which I was then told to help my group and establish some sort of connection between each individual piece of art, of which I had individuals within my group that had more vibrant, more loud, a lot busier pieces of art, of which did contrast with mine, but it had that beautiful contrast in the way that with my art it did feed in and it calmed it down, but it shows the cycle of growth and how initially there's that burn, that like a catalyst burning and filling up, and then slowly retrieving and leaning towards more of a calmer and being at one with yourself, which I feel as though I'm drawing towards. And that was the rain shaker, showing that reflection of being at one, and I thought it was very, very, very interesting to see how I could then incorporate the art and to express that through the music, and I thought the interpretation was quite tremendous, and to see other people utilise many different types of instruments as well, and the way in which rhythms were played to then further enhance the connection between the art and the music, and how the emotions of the people were and how they've changed and expanded. From this I then had another reflection, of which we all reflected upon how it went and performed our individual pieces as groups. And I thought initially I did find that I was quite timid, quite shy and nervous to perform, but I thought the communication was very effective within the group, as we all were able to feed in our thoughts, individually, listen to one another and acknowledge the differences within each section of the expressive and interpretive piece, in order to make sure that it did flow in the way that we and I wanted it to. And I thought that was very important, listening, taking it in, absorbing information and working accordingly, and taking time to actually one by one speak and then make notes and reflect upon it. And I just thought maybe next time a thing that I could do is ensure that I'm volunteering myself and not being afraid of other people and what they think, because at the end of the day everybody's different and everybody has their own way of expressing themselves, and I should never feel as though I'm going to be judged, because there's no bias and there's no right or wrong. It's just the way in which you feel and how you actually express that and convey that. Okay guys, so that sums up my course and my first initial lecture. Now this was something that was so new to me and something that really caused a spurt of growth and initiated further development within myself that I never knew could even be able to enhance. Now I've gained even more through participating in even more workshops and challenging myself, and I think it relates to my own career that I am focused upon and my endeavour, being creative within myself. And yeah, so I'd love, guys, if you enjoyed this video, to ensure to give it a lovely fat thumbs up, and also comment down your thoughts below. Maybe let me know about your courses and why you're doing them, what you want to achieve and accomplish within your life and your goals that you are wishing to pursue. And then also tell me maybe a time frame that you wish to achieve this within. Let me know, because you know, we've got to keep ensuring that we're networking down below. This is what this channel is for. It's for development, for growth. You can look back at it in maybe a year or 2 years and then be like, oh wow, I've really developed through this. But yes guys, I just want to say thank you again for being so patient. I really appreciate it. And I also want to say thank you so much to everybody who's been so persistent and have been loyal supporters of me. You can gain something from this, and we can all, you know, grow and evolve together. That's the mission. For now, that is tea out. And remember, I'm only a tea away. Stay tuned for Tea Tuesday. Bye bye.